live from the Big G's Pizza Studio on Clark Street. This is 5 Songs with Friends, Chicago's music discovery podcast. One of LA's best kept musical secrets, co-writing and collaborating with the likes of Jim James, Mikael Jorgensen of Wilco, and Moby, Jamie Drake has all the while been carefully crafting her own craft and preparing to take center stage. Now, over 2 million people have discovered Drake's premiere tracks from her upcoming album, Everything's Fine, a record that embraces heartbreak and hope with indie pop stylings wrapped in lush orchestrations reminiscent of John Brion, Van Dyke Parks, and delivered with rich vocals derivative of her varied musical influences ranging from Harry Nilsson to Sufjan Stevens to Cat Power to Joni Mitchell. What a bio. I love it. Jamie Drake, I have her today. What's going on?
Hi. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to talk to you about the show coming up in Chicago.
Yeah. So let's tease it real quick. So you have a show. You're playing at Schubas with a couple other bands on May 4th, which is Saturday. So we'll talk a little bit more about the show. We'll get people excited about it now. But before we do that, tell me, so how did you get started making music? I mean, I know you're on the road right now, so it seems like it's been, you've been doing this for obviously quite a long time. Can you kind of get me up to speed on, your history as a musician?
Sure. Well, my dad was a songwriter, and there was just always music in the house. Like my brother and I would sing along with him. It's kind of interesting because music has always been in my life, and it's always been the thing that I've gone to, in my pastimes or to process my own emotions and things. I didn't actually start pursuing it as a career until my late 20s. So, I got this, but the trajectory is just I've been singing since I was a kid, and I started writing when I was a teenager when I picked up the guitar. And I'd been writing all through my 20s, just sort of to process things in life. But I didn't actually start pursuing it as a career until 10 years ago. So once I started doing that, I just kind of thrust myself into the music scene in Los Angeles, and I was playing a residency every week at this bar called Crane's Tavern, and co-writing with everyone I was meeting and coming across at that time, making lots of friends and just pursuing something, and with the fervor of somebody who had gone through, I basically the catalyst for that was I'd gone through a divorce. And so it was this major catalyst in my life to do the thing that I really wanted to do. So it ended up being a really great thing.
Interesting. Well, so I'm kind of curious because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are, maybe in similar situations where they're at kind of a turning point in their life, and they've been making music for a while and they want to maybe dive in and do it full time. Do you have any advice or any kind of thoughts that went through your head as you made that decision that might be helpful for people?
Well, I would have to say that before going through that life shifting thing, the divorce or whatever, I would have to say that my personality was a lot more passive and a lot more kind of scared to go out and do something for myself. I almost felt like it was selfish to pursue something that I wanted, which is very, very strange to think of now, but I know that a lot of people could probably relate to that. And I would just say, go through something really hard in life, and then maybe that'll change your mind. I don't know. I just would want to encourage people to not think that they can't pursue something that, the thing, I think oftentimes the thing that makes the most sense for us to go after, we put off. And so maybe that could be something that would help people figure out like, well, what is this thing that I've been putting off in my life, my entire life? You know, I've been putting off pursuing this one thing. Why? Why is that? Because you are afraid that it won't be successful. Like art, you can't expect art to pay for your life. You have to pursue it with joy, and you have to pursue it. I mean, if you want it to maybe be a career at some point, you need to pursue it as if it is your career. And once you step into like working towards that art for the joy of it, not for some fame, not for fame, and not for fortune, certainly not for fortune. You just have to do it because you love it. And once you start stepping into that, like, if it towards the thing you're supposed to be doing, like the universe just starts opening doors and provides like the money that you need to pay for your life, you know. But there's a lot of sacrifices too, you know. Sometimes, like with the arts, like you have to end up like working jobs that you don't really like working. So it all depends on like what people really want to get out of life. If money is more important to you, then maybe don't pursue the arts.
Yeah, that's interesting though. I like that. I mean, it is tough. Like humans, we're very good at rationalizing and putting things off and procrastinating. Like that's, I mean, one of our core skill sets. So it's like cool to hear that, you know, you had the shake up and you were like, you know what, now there's no better time than now. Let's do it. And so you jumped into music. You got started. It sounded like you made some connections in LA, and we're doing some shows pretty, you know, fairly regularly. How did you get pulled in to start collaborating and co-writing with some of these bigger names? How did that happen?
You know, I think the more you're doing something, you just come across people and opportunities. I mean, living in Los Angeles, some like certain cities like LA, it's such an interesting city because like anything can happen. I think, you know, a friend of mine was actually Moby's assistant for a while or something, and he knew I was a singer, so he asked me if I would be a part of his live choir. So I've sung, you know, with Moby and with this like kind of smallish choir situation like a bunch of times, and I sang on one of his records, but he hasn't put it out because I think Moby has a couple of those. He's got some records that he's recorded, but he hasn't released. Let's see who else is on that list. Yeah, I just think like the more you do something, the more it's like anything in life, like you come across opportunities you couldn't have planned. And I think that's most of the things that have happened to me. I mean, sometimes when you think about it, it's like, if I were to try and plan to like, meet and work with somebody, like I could probably never, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to work life doesn't seem to work that way.
Right.
Like you can't really plan to do certain things. There's always, a
certain amount of serendipity to things, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's like you have to plan to do something and step out. You have to step out in faith toward that thing, but you don't know what doors are going to open. Like I've had a lot of random things happen. Like I've been doing like folk music for years and years, and then out of nowhere, like some, you know, president of like the Armada Music happened to be at a show of mine and like loved my voice, and so I ended up doing like this EDM track, which I don't like EDM music at all. But it was just like those kinds of opportunities. You just have to go towards something, and like lots of different doors will open, and it's kind of fun like that because, you know, life is just full of surprises.
Awesome. I love it. Well, wise words.
Yeah.
We've got a song today called Everything's Fine.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about it and, you know, maybe the story behind the song?
Sure. So Everything's Fine is a song that I wrote in the wake of a breakup. I can't remember which one. There seems to have been many. But, you know, I wrote this song basically to sort of memorialize that moment when you're with someone and you love each other and you're comfortable, but you know that you're really not, like, this isn't like your soulmate. This isn't the person, or maybe it's not the person that you're supposed to continue on with. Maybe they've been your soulmate for like 3 years or whatever. I think that's possible. And you get to this moment where you're like trying to convince yourself that maybe everything will be fine, you know, like, so, yeah, I mean, like the lyrics in the chorus are, I don't want to say it, it's over. Let's hold on for a while. Give it time. Give me a minute. Maybe tomorrow we'll find everything's fine. And it's sort of juxtaposed against this really joyful music in the production, which can make it feel like, yeah, maybe everything will be fine. You know, like that's kind of the vibe of that song, I think.
Right. A very relatable theme, because it's like, I think we all have, whether it's in relationships or your career or whatever it is, like we have all of these things that are like close to a good fit, but we know deep down in our subconscious that they aren't the right solution for the long term. And like, we have difficulties like addressing those like and having the difficult conversations with like ourselves or with other people. So a very relatable song.
Yeah. Totally. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into it. This is a song called Everything's Fine by Jamie Drake.
I've been thinking about the past, how it seems like nothing ever lasts. All the moments and the memories in my brain spin around to that beginning just the same. You and I were like a song.
That was Everything's Fine by Jamie Drake. So you're on tour right now. You're on the road. You're coming to Chicago on Saturday. We got a show at Schubas with the Brook and the Bluff, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So is that who you're touring with, or what does this look like?
Yeah. I've been touring with these guys on just a handful of dates with them. I opened for them in Carborough, North Carolina at Cat's Cradle, and then in Athens at 40 Watt, and that is a really cool club. And then in Atlanta, and then Chicago. So just a handful of dates with those guys. And before that, I did a couple dates opening for Sean Colvin. So very different experiences, right? Because the Brook and the Bluff, they have a lot of college audiences. And then Sean Colvin, she's been around forever. And we played these beautiful theaters with older, respectful listening crowds. So it's been like a kind of a fun experience for me, because I'm like, wow, you just have to learn how to morph to fit whoever you're speaking to. It's been fun.
Yeah. You got to practice those, being dynamic, I guess, on a night-to-night basis, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just part of being a performer, I guess, sort of bending and figuring out who it is that you're telling your story to and how can you get them to engage. It's really not with the college audiences. It's funny because I'm on the road opening for these guys and they have a full band, and for this, I'm just doing these shows solo. So, I don't have a lot of trouble. I don't have any trouble doing that. That's fine for me. But the college crowds tend to, they're just like little young chickens, they don't understand that they should stop talking while you're playing. So it was fun, actually. I had a little bit of fun with them. The show in Carborough, I was like, all right, this is going to be my last song, and this might be a really stupid idea, but I'm going to do it. So I unplugged my guitar, and I taught them the chorus to this song, and I got their full attention. And I don't think they'd ever experienced something like that before. It was really sweet. And they clapped and were they were like, do another one. And they were quiet for that one too. And I was like, wow, this is kind of amazing. So that's a challenge. That was a challenge for me, but I really feel, when you've been doing something for so long, and you have the opportunity to, cause that could also be I could also come away from that thinking, wow, that was a horrible experience. These people suck and they don't listen. But I don't know, when you're performing and you're on stage, you also have the opportunity to be a leader and to teach people. So I think one thing that I am grateful for in having pursued music at the age that I am now is that I'm not a child, and I have a lot of wisdom and experience to offer. And I'd like to be able to offer that to the people that I share my music with. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity, because I don't think that sharing this music, it's not just so that I can become famous or have lots of money or whatever, have millions and millions of streams on Spotify. All those things are great, but for me, really what gets me going and makes me feel like I'm living my purpose is if I can share these songs with people and they can resonate and change people and encourage them. So yeah, I feel like that was a long explanation, and I don't even know if I answered your question. But
no, it was great. I love hearing stories like that. I love hearing interesting stories about maybe times you had a difficult crowd or you found a way to win over the crowd. I think that's very valuable and very awesome to hear just in general. So May 4th, Saturday at Schubas with the Brook and the Bluff. How can people stay in touch with you for future releases, and future tour dates, things like that?
Well, I would say I feel like this day and age, like the easiest way to keep in touch with people and follow what they're doing is just follow them on Instagram, because I announce everything on there. And my Instagram handle is Jamie the Drake. It's JAMIE the Drake. And also, I have a website. It's jamiedrakemusic.com, and follow me on Spotify. That's another great way to keep in touch with all my new releases. I have 2 singles that are out, and I have another one coming out in June. And actually, everything's fine. There's an acoustic version that will be coming out in a week. So that could be maybe another thing to look for.
Awesome. Well, good stuff. May 4th, Schubas, Jamie Drake. Check her out. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.